Chair, members of RDC, this is roll call for Resource and Development Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Regular meeting Wednesday, December 21st, 2022 at 9 a.m. Roll call. Honorable Ricky Nez.
Delegate Rick Nez is present.
Honorable Rick Nez is present. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr.
Delegate Keller is present.
Honorable Key Allen Begay Jr. is present. Honorable Herman M. Daniels.
Present.
Honorable Herman M. Daniels present. Honorable Mark A. Freeland.
I'm present.
Honorable Mark A. Freeland is present. Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr.
Good morning, President.
Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. is present. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Chairman, you have 5 members available, which is established as a quorum. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahe. Next on the agenda, we have invocation. Honorable Mark Freeland, if you would offer the prayer.
Chairman, good morning. It'll be my honor to provide the invocation this morning. And colleagues, good morning, and staff, good morning, all those on this call. We all have our own way of prayer and acknowledgement and asking for blessings continually. And, you know, it's a special time of the year and just a lot of remembrance and appreciation. So I'm going to go ahead and offer it this way. Our Heavenly Father, our gracious God, our Creator, our Redeemer, our Savior, most merciful one. Father, we thank you for bringing us together once more, Father, to do this most important work on behalf of our people. We ask you to bless each and every one of us continually. We ask you for the blessings of that you offer each and every day to us, to our families, to all of our people, near and far, Father. Help guide them and protect them as well. Give us the courage, the wisdom, the strength, and the knowledge each and every day, all of us, to fulfill our obligations and our duties to you, Father. Put forth peace. Give us the peace and give us the utmost appreciation to always work hard and do our duties to fulfill your obligation, Father. As we prepare for this special time of receiving your Son, the birth of your Son, Jesus, we're so thankful each and every day you give us this opportunity, Father. We prepare for that coming. We prepare for the Christmas celebration, Father, for the birth of your Son. Father, we ask you to give special blessings to all of our leadership right now. Our President, Jonathan Nez, our Vice President, Myron Leiser, all of our council members right now, our Speaker, Otto So, our Chief Justice, Joanne Jane, and the Associate Justices of the Navajo Nation Supreme Court. We also pray for our incoming leadership, Father, our new leaders that will be coming in soon. We ask you to help guide them and help give them direction as well to lead, Father. Father, we continually ask you to forgive us as well. As we know we are imperfect, but when we do fall into despair, we can turn to you and ask you for that forgiveness, Father, of any trespasses or any sins that we may have committed. Father, have mercy on us and forgive us at this time. We ask you for that, Father. We ask you to bless all of our Navajo people as well, wherever they are throughout this land. All of our veterans, all of our elders, and all of our children, especially those populations, Father. Help guide them each and every day. Give them the strength as well. Give them peace. Give them hope. Give them happiness and opportunity, Father. As a lot of them are feeling ailments of some sort, whether it's physical or mental. Put them on a path to peace and hope and righteousness, Father. We ask you these things continually. As we know, we can turn to you each and every day when we are up against certain challenges. We put that in your hands each time. We deal with what we can here in the physical world, but that we cannot deal with, we turn to you, Father, and we give that to you as well. We pray for all of our families right now, all of the families who have lost loved ones to COVID-19. May they find everlasting peace as they are getting together to celebrate Christmas. Many will be without their loved ones, Father. We pray for them, all of our 1,900 Navajo people that we lost during the pandemic. We pray for those families. Pray for all those who are recovering, who suffered physical ailments, mental illness of COVID. We pray for them. May they be on a path to healing. May they be on a path of peace as well, Father. We continually will pray for them, the families, and those who are in recovery as well. Father, grant us the peace and serenity each and every day to carry on our duties this day forward. Give us that guidance and give us that direction. We know we can turn to you. Give us that at this time, Father, as we prepare for a new day, as we prepare for new opportunities for our people. Continually, we will always say, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name, thy kingdom come, thy will be done on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us of our trespasses, and forgive those as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, and deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the Father, and the glory for yours forever and ever. Amen. Thank you, Chairman.
Honorable Freeland Hutchins and again Chicago here. Hot ego, even a chance, but not a John Chakesho, yet I hit or Ishi, or not any error left or art hot in the butchers and the hot out a big and even our worst enemies, we got to pray for them and just love them, you know, the nether Josh Hand, the Ojo Nisela. A cohort here sits here. Crossing announced none at all and announcements. Mr. Tahi, any announcements for us?
Good morning, Chair, members of RDC. My announcement is on Thursday, December 22nd. Legislative will have its legislative luncheon, which will be held at Twin Arrows Casino. Then on Friday, December 23rd, the legislative branch offices will be closed. We will resume business hours, regular business hours on Tuesday, December 27th at 8 a.m. Chair, members of RDC, that is my announcement. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any announcements?
Chairman, this is Daniel.
Honorable Daniels, you have the floor.
Yes, thank you for the Chairman Ned, and the Vice Chair Walker, and the Select to take care of the Jet. I don't know to clear the hand greedy for the fishing for the teacher. The needs and don't let go. Do not think on the sugar deal. Neso, I don't know. No very damn, a Donna in a very damn. Monument Valley, as got as teeny area. I don't let them. That's still, yeah, Craigie and the community members. We could all get the cost on me. I don't know very damn how to let. The very guest said that there was a kid for the man a son that all. Next week, bad of it now, Joe. Hot dog, hot dish, I don't quit the door either. I had to see a horse, a cocoa, ADIC, the idea that movement on what is in the radar, because I have others is what chapters, the housing dam, the old down on a radar, what is in a Thanksgiving, out of Christmas dinner at Norda, or the other, and the on the radar. Chapters now have Argo, or AIC go here with the Schneidel, let's go all the 110 chapters. Or the ada ilagi ako yego ko kuja halju so yo ba hojno kodon wait during the holidays, Thanksgiving, Christmas, and New Year's. Adonana kodo actually no da actually da meadow da lasaho. It's a time for happiness, a time to be with families, be with relatives over there. So ADI to do by Chinese in the whole at the Oshadi to have Navajo Nation 110 chapters. For ADI to do or Shan Hidini do because I'm pretty sure my colleagues I saw that now. So ADI to by Shan so do them. I don't know that every year what date holidays, but once a year they date. So it is about here in Mr. Chair, thank you.
Kushila ke ya teho are nanish in lala nikitan nebel chabin jishkai has ajdo the here and honorable members of RDC. Any other announcements?
Chairman, I have an announcement.
Honorable Stewart, you have the floor.
Thank you, Chairman. My announcement, Chairman and colleagues of Resource Development Committee, is that yesterday evening, Sawmill community also had their Christmas parade. Their good turnout from the community and the leadership within Sawmill. So that was what I wanted to share. And they also have their renovated chapter house that's what they've been using as well to meet in this last month and a half. So that's something that they're moving towards since they came out of sanction, and we, along with the Auditor General, Helen Brown, have been working to get them out. We finally did, through our leadership the past 20 years, get them out of sanction. So that's something that we are still grateful for, is that we are out of sanction and we continue to do that what we can for the community there in Sawmill. The other one is that this evening we do have the second annual Christmas tree lighting ceremony in Crystal, along with some other events and festivities there at Crystal Chapter House this evening. So that's where I will be at this afternoon, as well as attending two chapter meetings at Red Lake. Also has a drive-by dinner today too, in Red Lake community, Red Lake / Navajo. They will be having that today as well too. So chapters are really going all out for the community members, trying to, like Shania Mark said, trying to get them out in this pandemic that we were in, keeping them healthy and joyful and happy, and remembering the good memories of those that we have lost. So in that way, Chairman and colleagues, I just want to share those announcements with you all at this time. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you. Yeah, honorable members of RDC, any other announcements?
Chairman Freeland.
Honorable Freeland.
Thank you, Chairman. Good morning, Yananatation and staff. I just wanted to wish you all a Merry Christmas to you and your families, colleagues and staff, especially staff. All those listening as well. What you had mentioned, Chairman, is so true. Those who even despise us or say things about us, we still pray for them and offer that peace to them as well, regardless. And we still are one people, and we still are and we're still Navajo at the end of the day. And that's what we need to be reminded of who we are. And it's such a blessing each and every day to wake up again and have energy and have compassion and have desire and dedication to help our people in every facet. And I just want to wish you, my colleagues and everyone, the staff, everyone, a blessed Merry Christmas. I know we have a Jeyaje who's celebrating Hanukkah too. I don't know if he's on the line, but happy Hanukkah. And I think it was the third night last night. But Merry Christmas and happy Hanukkah to you all. Thank you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Freeland. Any other announcements, Nanda? I hear none. We'll go down to number 2, recognizing guests and visiting officials. We'll just have introductions for all, starting with the honorable members of RDC. Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Yes, Chairman, committee members, staff, teacher, the Resource Development Committee meeting. So yeah, gilini do le no so no sa no znego chi da do no ka do shin so da ha chi o ye in ke ya ka o da wi sa o so zeniki da ke cho ba hui zen which o dan today chi ya de ban today chi se ko do ke da ki on today chi do potential ito agenda kada ko o ito na siya hindi do ito no so Thomas Walker Jr. agency leader we are Western Navajo agency adding ta response on the different ko we Luke, Talani Lake, Cameron, Coal Mine, Canyon, and City chapters lako banan which 24th Navajo Nation Council chair o ela ko don en sinigi shi na pink to ni to ji ni je da to so ni da shi that is ni da shi na le ko o da the nan shi ko ya te ko sinani kai ji to she got another teacher. Committee members, Chairman, back to you. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Honorable Kealan Begay Jr.
Good morning, Chairman. Although everyone else, committee members, although that is not on get down so Kudos that no anti national can on a that's a bit anti that's out of this shit need that's another. Staff and that but had the Shaki a low mountain touchable gap Salan can with no any other mini farms. Although on the trade or I just want to wish everyone a happy holiday. Although Kodo Nidi Hanana Haki beat that's not the car. If you do look I just want to wish the best to everyone. The Kodotso Hotels initiate be nothing it of this to be at Hoshinke nada dot us skin of energy so it is a Kodo or Shahan Hidini do this to the Kodon Handa Nishigi and I believe my LDA is listening in and I just want to wish her the best, her and her family, everyone else Kodo honest I don't my Yazi Shahan Kodo Nando do Kodo never cut Nando when that the whole Jishiki do Handini do this do. Although I may not give huge gift to anyone, but the only gift I can think of to everyone else is just a prayer to everyone. So there's do na all can Hishi de Kodon Hidi and Denigide. For a blessing to everyone else. So that's my biggest thought and gift to everyone else during this holiday, Chairman. What I could only say of this. Yeah.
Thank you, Honorable Begay. Honorable Daniels.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, Vice Chair, and the honorable members of Resources and Development Committee. And then his staff, Mr. Tahi, and also Mr. Moses. She had I see high head, so yeah, going to kind of share on the whole. Just a call. I don't know. I want to wish Merry Christmas to the advisor. Yeah, going to call on what the stone right down. Shammy Begay. That Teresa Woody so is in the Saturday so the scene is the Kodon here at it Hishama Edo Yegon Yaka Natural Honza Hall the Shako Shamakado with Khan could on here I see here and Fargo. Adokodo Astokado do I see recognize either Shakado Ako I see Zeniki I see better than hit three short either. But in nowadays energy Edo I see Kodo share with the Schneid on this Kodovash energy. She got Honza go hold the Shako. Ko idea I see share with the need on the Shako. Other the Kodo she gave Herman Daniels Jr. Don and Slinny McCartney. Kilchini doesn't say. Ado Koyet Lini, it doesn't say. That's got Loho, it doesn't know, like NKT dollars. Ado Banas, as again, out of on, or Z to Santo, other than the weekend. What I could get in the house. Thank you, Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. If you have Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, good morning, Shantai, colleagues and staff again, as well as all of our listeners. And Shay Mark Frieden, the Shiero, Arot Sanigi Tutsoni, Snowed Up Kia, Ani Asia, Sanjay Canada Che, Arot Sana Bessie, Adish another. I represent 8 chapters out of Eastern Navajo Agency, Crown Point, Arot Nahadiskish, Vicente, White Rock, Lake Valley, Griffino and Nayeza. And this time of the year is always special for me, Chairman and colleagues. Recently, it's been 46 years that I lost my parents. And I remember them each and every day. I was 6 years old when I lost them. And there's never a day that goes by that I think about them. And I'm thankful for them giving me this life, giving me this opportunity to help our people and serve our people. So Christmas is very special to me, and I'm thankful for my kids, my children. They're in good health, and I just wanted to mention that as well because it's a very unique time as us as colleagues, as brothers and sisters, and as us coming together during this time of the year to reflect and give thanks and be blessed. So let's have a good meeting, and thank you, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Honorable Stewart.
Yes, good morning, Chairman. Shea Junior age, yeah. The twits on the Einstein and it's catching a bush catching the shade of behind the Chanella. Out of but had a shaggy itself, so like it has a sheet once on the Kaya deep it's under the gate, 40 times agency. It's auto air representative for the Resource Development Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council. Non and this morning to start our meeting, start our day again as we prepare to talk about our business items for today. Merry Christmas to each and every one of you, and happy holidays to all of our listeners as well, and our divisions and departments, President, Vice President, my Chief Justice Joanne Jainto, and her staff as well. Thank you.
Thank you, Sitsila. So, and Ritmezin she hon sanan snow zet kachin bashish chin sana habitna shiro can on it a but anyway then Slindo San Juan chapter any 6 chapters I work for is Hogback, San Juan and Hanzar, Upper Flume, Burnham and Newcomb. Arush and I thank you for all the Christmas blessings and the holiday blessings. Where usually when you run a marathon, to your last mile, you run as fast as you can to the finish line. What they is the finish line, cut the end of the 24th Council. I'd like to share a story with you. Back in the early 1900s, there were slaves working out in the cotton fields. They suffered daily at the hands of their taskmasters. And Jenny, an older gentleman, started singing just to uplift their brothers and sisters. Not crazy, Jenny. He looks up to the heavens and he says, "Wing low, sweet chariot." I guess he just wanted to comfort his brothers and sisters. This is where that song originated from, was in the cotton fields. And the first recording happened in 1909. The older gentleman just wanted to go home with his heavenly Father. Others were listening to him. They began to just kind of say the same thing he was saying, trying to sing. And he was putting a song together out in the cotton fields. And this is the song that he was singing, and everybody started following along with him. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming for to carry me home. I sing that off in special class we get that. Gishi ye chanatan lego nas elte na crazy jenny. I wrote the on occasion and I'm not sending it na. And hit an endley for summer the whale did it hit a horn neho. Ain't not 4 years. What Asian there so odd Chanatan Lego Yoda no has study kata notes so that there's no you yet they get go to Yeniche that there's egonda or kato so that there's zango. Other bells need to be as a neat letishide. Once to go even a snittle lesson and I'm not sending here what egon hits or than that it's at all benefit zeal. They have nedo joke or be nasi kato job a cannot snicker cashmish diginish nini bana hol jisto kucha the nation sock case or lest or yat yo net beda hino tango. Let's see that of this. Merry Christmas to all of you. We'll go to staff, Mr. Tahe.
Good morning, Chair, members of RDC. My name is Rodney Tahi. Those online, I am the Legislative Advisor for Resource and Development Committee. I am Kia'ani and Senja Kene, and I'm originally from Steamboat, Arizona. I wanted to say thank you for that beautiful prayer this morning, Delegate Freeland. It's a great way to start the day, especially this Christmas season. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Mr. Mose.
Morning, Chair, and everyone online. Jay Leonard Mose and Shea Twiddles, Asha Shishlo, Hana Ganti Bashish Chain, Ashida Chigo, Toban Ashnore. Back to you, Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Mose. Ms. Mariana Cohn.
Oh, yat et anelso. Ado yat et Christmas. Yat et Keshmist anelso. Beautiful time of year, time that we reflect about our blessings, and we are especially kind, make an effort to be very kind to each other. Now, if we can extend that to the rest of the 365 days of the year, that would be wonderful. Jay Mariana Khan, Dashajine, Done and Sliniki A. Toyed leaning, but Annie Bashish Chin, last year Dasha Chay, Tana Chikena Dashanala, I could our Stanishly, Amanishly, a Masanishly, a Nalanishly. Good morning. I'd like to say also, thank you very much for that beautiful prayer, Honorable Delegate Freeland, Shiaj. As always, us Native people, when we talk in the prayer way, it just goes right to the spirit world, and we all are spiritual beings. And I'm always very thankful for the prayer. Mr. Chair and members of the committee, I will be listening to the call. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collins. We certainly appreciate the work that you do for all our colleagues drafting legislations, and certainly appreciate the work you do. Thank you. Honorable Paul Begay. Press star 6 to unmute.
Chair, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Oh, yeah, it's been my brother, Honorable Chair Rick Nez, another Vice Chair Delegate Walker, members of Resource and Development Committee, staff McClingy, and also all the rest of my other colleagues that might be on the air. She at the Delegate Paul Begay, and she I represent the Chi Bishop Gates and upon team. I be total 20 Helly, after I don't know how constant in hall and after. I did mention Sadishkish the Nanch Lido before Tony was a but it's need the Chidoki on that could out mention. I'll be listening in today. Always a pleasure to listen to the RDC meetings. Honorable Delegate Mark, and soon to be student, my brother, Honorable Freeman. You know, the Lord's Prayer is appropriate every day, but it really has a special meaning this time of year, Christmas. So thank you for including the Lord's Prayer in your prayer this morning. Dan hin ka de ya sobin sin ibe bin ka den kada hui ti ko iba here hasan ko kun ko ya here hedin so Merry Christmas to jon gon heda ka heda to tin se ka lo do le chair here.
Thank you, Brother Paul Begay, honorary member. Yeah. Let's go to our folks that are on the call from the Office of the President, Vice President. Anybody on the call? Dave Filfred, Teresita Clashen. Then Hakushin, we'll go down to DIA, Mr. Greg Mhoja. Angela Arviso.
Good morning, and Ya'at Bennett, Honorable Chairman Nez, members of the Resources and Development Committee, and to all who are on the call. This is Angela Arviso, the Deputy Regional Director for Trust Services, BIA Navajo Region, and to take this time to wish you all a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year. Ahihadla.
Thank you. Dr. Calvert Curley.
Good morning, Calvert Curley with Branch of Natural Resources, Navajo Region. Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays. Thank you.
Thank you. Tony Robbins.
Yeah, Dave Bennett, this is Tony Robbins. Yeah, quite on the in his Tonigi Ado, I can send all the quite you got happy solstice in other Nahoji so he was thinking about he done it and all this so yeah. Good morning.
Thank you. Cheryl Curley. And from Department of Justice, Michelle Brown-Yazzie.
Michelle Brown-Yazzie and Kachidin Shle, Anasana Bashishchin, Sanajani Dashiche, Anasana Dashanala. Yat A Kishmish, everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Dina or Beta Becker?
Oh, Yat Esh, Chairman. Beta Becker Dashijina, Kintlachitni Nishla, Bilagana Bashishchin, Torachitni Dashiche, the Bilagana Dashanala. Thank you for having me here today, and Yate Keshmish.
Thank you. Robert Kirk.
Mr. Chair, the Resources Committee been hidini dole Shay Robert Kirk Dashajane Twitch eatni Ainsle na Queen a Bashin my dishki ne Dashachedo Honoga Nido Tabahe Dashanala Aro Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources Ebanash Merry Christmas though Hajoshin Hida do Haton Juno Hato Dazi Heba Hinson. Thank you.
Thank you. Dr. Crystal Tully Cordova.
Yat e bene do yat e keshmish shenant no senegi Honorable Chair Nez do honorable members of the Resource and Development Committee. Thank you for allowing me to be here today. Twitch eating nishlet kat dezahne bashish chain hashkan hedzoha edashache tuo heglini edashanale Navajo Nation Department of Water Resources Water Management Branch a banashnish.
Thank you. Maureen Curley, NXA.
Oh, Yat Abinishanala, Chairman Mayas and members of the REC committee, Shay and Maureen Curley and Shiel, Hia Ani Shlon the Better and Bush's chain, Papan does not Sanago Hanawahi Dashin Mother. That is Sun and Shlen. Just want to say thank you to Shitsila, Councilman Freeland for that one beautiful prayer this morning. It brought tears to my eyes because I'm just like him. I lost my mom 13 years ago on Christmas Day, so I know the feeling. And thank you for that beautiful, that interesting song, Chairman. It does bring special memories as well. For I've had friends that are whose parents have been slaves, and that's one of their favorite songs that they sing during any occasion. But other than that, I just want to say thank you for all the Christmas blessings from the RDC committee and from the Navajo Nation Council. And I'm really thankful that thank you for your support and guidance in the past year. And hopefully it will continue in the upcoming year with the new council that is coming in. So I send those special greetings out to everyone and Merry Christmas to everyone. Thank you so much for having us on today or listening to you today. Have a wonderful day. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Curley. You certainly have some good staff over there. Mr. Earl Tooley traveled with us to Washington, D.C., as well as board member Tammy Yazzie, advocating on behalf of NHA for our people who are in dire need of ERAP, Emergency Rental Assistance Program, and hopefully we'll have that extension approved by Washington leadership. So thank you for that. Mr. Ellis Vicente, Forestry.
Good morning. Got a been CA Alex Vicente and shit. Session Salon 20 Bush's chain. The department manager for Navajo Forestry Department. Just want to say happy holidays to each and every one of you out there. May you all have a great time celebrating with your family and friends. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Vicente. Ms. Etty Abasta.
Good morning, Chair Nez. Good morning, honorable members of RDC. Thank you. My name is Etty Anderson Abasta. Sanabithni and Shlan Hashklishni Bushishtin, Tutne Sudni Dashanala, Bilagana Dashache. I am the department manager for the General Land Development Department, and I'll be listening in. Thank you, Chair. Thank you, RDC members.
Thank you. Mr. Sidney Ditch, NTUA.
Good morning. I'm Sidney Bob Dietz II. My clan is Todachini. I was born for Anglos. Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the committee, for the opportunity to listen in today. And Merry Christmas and Happy Holidays to everyone. Thank you.
Thank you. Gloria Tom, Fish and Wildlife. There's Tom. And Mr. Greg Mahoja, are you on the call? Ms. Cheryl Curley? None? Okay, we'll go back to our colleagues. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Press *6 to unmute. Jimmy Yellowhair. Okay, Shamayaja, Honorable Chair, Amber Kenneth Balcrotty. Mr. Tai, can you hear me?
Chairman, yes, I can hear you. I did ask Delegate Crotty and Delegate Yellowhair to unmute their line.
Okay, thank you. We'll go ahead and move down the agenda. Number 3, reviewing and approving the agenda. Mr. Tai, could you read the agenda, sir?
Chair, members of RDC, the proposed agenda reads as follows. Resource and Development Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, regular meeting Wednesday, December 21st, 2022, 9 a.m. Presiding, Honorable Ricky Nez, Chairperson. Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., Vice Chairperson. Location via telecommunication. 1. Call meeting to order, roll call invocation announcements. 2. Recognizing guests and visiting officials. 3. Reviewing and approving the agenda. 4. Reviewing and approving the journal, December 14th, 2022, regular meeting. 5. Receiving reports. A. Update report by the Navajo Department of Justice Water Rights Unit on the consolidation of 2 Navajo Nation water right cases, docket number 22-51 and docket number 21-1484, to be heard by the United States Supreme Court. Presenter, Michelle Brown Yazi, Assistant Attorney General, Water Rights Unit, Navajo Department of Justice. 6. Old business, none. 7. New business. A. Legislation 0246-22, an action relating to Resource and Development Committee and the Navigate Committee and the Navajo Nation Council, amending C0-50-13, approving amendments to the Plan of Operation for the Navajo Division of Natural Resources Administration, and approving the Plan of Operation for the Clean Energy and Strategic Development Planning Office. Sponsor, Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Co-sponsor, Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. B. Legislation number 0247-22, an action relating to Resource and Development Committee, approving the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area, Integrated Resource Management Plan, approval of the Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative, and recommending the BIA adopt the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area, Integrated Resource Management Plan. Sponsor, Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. Co-sponsor, Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. C. Legislation number 0249-22, an action relating to Resource and Development and Budget Finance Committees, amending CAP-35-18 by reallocating funds for Pinyon Chapter Project, NOS D 161, D162, and D163 from funding year 1 to funding year 3, and changing project number D162 from perimeter fencing construction to design, equip, and construct. Sponsor, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. D. Legislation number 0250-22, an action relating to Resource and Development Committee, approving amendments to the Plan of Operation of the Navajo Forestry Department. Sponsor, Honorable Ricky Nez. E. Legislation number 02522, an action relating to Resource and Development Committee and Budget Finance Committee, establishing the Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund, and approving the Navajo Forest Department Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund Management Plan. Sponsor Honorable Ricky Nez, co-sponsor Honorable Wilson C. Stewart Jr. F, legislation number 0256-22, an action relating to resource and development, confirming the reappointment of Cindy Bob Dietz II to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Sponsor Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. G, legislation number 0257-22, an action relating to resource development, confirming the reappointment of Wynette Arvizo to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Sponsor Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. H, legislation number 0258-22, an act relating to resource and development, confirming the appointment of Kathy Newby to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Sponsor Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. I, legislation number 0259-22, an action relating to resource and development, budget and finance, and navigate committees, and the Navajo Nation Council, approving $8 million from the Citizens Fund for the Navajo Community Development Financial Institute to provide loans and support for small business across the Navajo Nation, approving the related expenditure plan. Sponsor Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, co-sponsor Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. 8, close the meeting, announcements and adjournment. Chair, members of RDC, that is the proposed agenda read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much for reading that into the record, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's establish a motion and a second.
Motion, Stewart.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. Is there a second?
Yellen.
Honorable Begay, thank you. Honorable members of RDC, are there any comments or questions on the agenda?
Mr. Chair, this is Delegate Daniels.
Honorable Daniels, you have the floor.
Mr. Chair, thank you very much. Kudo Nana Arunda Kudo teacher but now we don't agenda. So you couldn't get your house, Tato Ebe Kenny as a Kudo Mesh Ego Kudo. One of the legislation under new business, Nagay AG and Nagay legislation 0246-22 ADG. Oida Kodo A. Alay Halida does Nathan Floyd because Oida, I see them yesterday out there, Nata did before the pandemic, I was cast work group, yeah, I understand out, I don't know. So they don't agree there. Obviously, Hanana, I did. I don't agree that. He could do article that image enterprise. Right, there's NTUA, there's Intech, there's Navajo Nation Oil and Gas, and there's others. Oh yeah, that does actually or did. I call Hajoda the bad. The vacation to have these. Hajoda the baby, vacation has now visa. Have a work session with the enterprise. Hajoda that these nations on the Ecuador. That this 24th Council of RDC Adult Zag was in a way. The 25th Council of RDC that not being she that it's stated on leash it or she got that go stated on leash it that you about that's KC the Kodota, Mr. Chair. If I make a motion to take this off the agenda, will this legislation go forward to Nabi? Ellington of a council chair. A later adult nation for I'm not the God, I should say that. Oh, you got that. You go down as a brother. Adult nation say that Delegate Walker, because he's the main sponsor. I don't know, co sponsor, because it's a On wheels there, on making for you. Mr. Chair, I had that question, but I'll make that motion, Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Honorable Daniels. Your concern with legislation under new business 0246-22. The sponsors, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, and whether we cannot take it off the agenda, but we're going to have to still make a motion or no motion at all to skip over it, but it still goes to Nabagia Kit and the full council. You're asking Honorable Walker here to withdraw this legislation because it may affect our Navajo Nation enterprises, NTOA, NTEC, Navajo Nation Oil and Gas. Work session it may even go before the 25th council for approval. So I believe that this will have to be directed at Honorable Vice Chair Walker, whether he would, your request for his withdrawal, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. On Amendment 1, not yet. Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Yes, Chairman.
See,
I was muted here. Thank you, Chairman, all committee members. Although motioning party for the approving the agenda for today. Although Honorable Daniel Yahatzigi, I believe he had a question first on legislation being taken off the agenda, and if that legislation continues to the next committee, which it is assigned to. AQUAG, I think that should probably be there should be our legislative council responding to that question. Today, Ash Nasashi Yilsos Nasi Gata Zolia is Irotada RDC. The Benedict Kittens and Shinatani. Although then of course I have another response after that. And now enough. Thank you.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Ms. Khan, your response.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. The question that is being asked about removing an item from the agenda has been addressed by various chief legislative councils through memo. And the particular question is not succinctly written in the Navajo Nation Code or in the Rules of Order. However, previous Navajo Nation's chief legislative councils have said that the legislation will go forward if it is on the agenda and is not withdrawn by the sponsor. Essentially, when legislation is introduced into the legislative process, the speaker through Title II 164 process assigns it to the committees, and it is in the speaker's authority to place this particular item on the agenda of the Resources and Development Committee, and that is through Title II. You have the sponsor who is on the call and is ready to present, and it is given that information, the current previous chief legislative councils have come to the opinion that the legislation is on the agenda and ready to be acted upon by the committee, and will move forward to the next council if tabled and given various other situations, but it moves on, Mr. Chair, unless the sponsor of the legislation withdraws it from the legislative process, Mr. Chair.
Okay, Ms. Khan. So another question that Honorable Daniels had asked is, so if there's a request for a work session, that this legislation be referred to a work session before it goes to Navigated?
Mr. Chair, this particular legislation, the final authority is the Navajo Nation Council. And again, there is no specific item in the Navajo Nation Title II 164 process or in the rules that specifically address this issue. However, along the same lines, the committees do not have final authority are given the opportunity to view the document and vote up or down or table it. The standing authority that is given to Nabik and also to the final committee, the final authority, Navajo Nation Council, those are the entities that may suggest and request and set up a work session on the legislation. The most that I believe that the Resources and Development Committee can do is to recommend that happen, but it does not. It is not within the authority of the Resources and Development Committee to require it. Resources and Development Committee is not the final authority, and it does not have that written into its authorities in the Title II 164 process. Nabik Iyat has that type of language, but not Resources and Development Committee. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you. Let me go back to Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Chairman, though, committee members, though, Mayaja, thank you for the response there and the advisement. So a legislation before the committee and on the agenda is taken off the agenda, it still proceeds. So what I get the taco nanta for saying not only, although I will take under advisement from my colleagues on considering the withdrawal. So procedurally, we're limited in, holding off on the agenda, keeping it here at RDC. If that's not possible, the withdrawal option is there. Back to you, Chair. Okay, thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Let me go to our advisor, Mr. Tahi. I'll have him give him some time first.
The chair, members of Resource Development Committee, I just want to echo what Ms. Khan did advise. Legally, that Navajo Nation Council does have final authority over this legislation, but something that RDC can consider, as we have done this before, is if there's no main motion or second on legislation 0246-22, it will stay with Resource and Development Committee. And we will just keep moving forward to the new legislation. We've done this before for the sponsor to consider either withdrawing or moving forward with this legislation. However, if there is a first and a second on this legislation, then we have to proceed forward with it. That is something that RDC could look at as far as withholding it with RDC. If there's no motion or second on this piece of legislation, then it'll just stay with us. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi, for that. I believe we have done that before. There was no motion, there was no second. We moved on to the next, so it stayed with RDC that way. So,
Chairman.
Honorable members of RDC, any comments or questions?
Chairman.
Honorable Freeland.
Chairman, just a question, maybe to Ms. Khan. If my honorable Che Walker was to defer, what if he could defer the legislation maybe to the next RDC agenda as well? Could he do that as an option? Just a question. Thank you.
Ms. Khan.
Mr. Chair and members of the Resources and Development Committee, as you know, the rules and Title II do not make specific reference to this situation in which a possibility of no first and second. I will send you the copy I have of Chief Legislative Council's in the past have written a memo with regard to this issue. And they have included that if a committee is not a final authority, the legislation moves on if it's not withdrawn. The only other time that it does not move on is if the sponsor is not in the meeting and cannot present. And I will send you, and I do believe there are at least 2 and maybe even 3 Chief Legislative Council memos on this, going back as far as the 23rd Navajo Nation Council and the 22nd Navajo Nation Council. And I will send that to you, Mr. Chair. That is, I am drawing from that particular Chief Legislative Council memo, which has not been withdrawn by our current Chief Legislative Council. So again, to be succinct, unless the sponsor of the legislation withdraws the legislation, or if the sponsor of the legislation is not in the building, so to speak, not in the meeting, then the legislation does not have a sponsor for it to be presented at that time. And if you will recall, we did this with legislation that was being put forth by your colleague, Kealan Begay, and I forget what particular legislation that was. And Mr. Chair, I will send that memo to you, but that is my understanding of the opinions of the Chief Legislative Councils in the past, which have not been withdrawn by the current Chief Legislative Council. Mr. Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Khan. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions?
Mr. Chair, this is Daniel.
Honorable
Daniels. Yes, Kodo Nevada, our legislative council, if the sponsor is not present, it'll stay with the committee, the next meeting. Or what he can do is withdraw the legislation. Our advisory, if we go with that, if there's no motion and if there's no second to this legislation, will that keep the legislation at RDC and be on the next regular meeting? Mr. Chair.
Thank you. Ms. Khan?
I'm sorry, Mr. Chair, I did not see the distinction. I want to make the basic principle of the opinions of the Chief Legislative Council are that a Navajo Nation Council delegate has the authority to introduce legislation. And that is what's being done on every piece of legislation that is on the agenda today. That is being put forth by one of your colleagues through Title II. Navajo Nation Council delegates may introduce legislation on the various topics. And it is within the authority specifically of Title II that the Speaker assigns the legislation to the committees. And there is the very general authority in Title II that the final authority committee or council makes the final decision, and that even in a situation where a committee tables the legislation, it goes forward if that committee is not final authority. And it's from that statement that even if a non-final authority committee tables legislation, that it goes forward, that the chief legislative councils have based their opinion that the non-final authority committee, if the legislation is not withdrawn, that the legislation goes forward, and that and if the sponsor is in the meeting, even if in this case, even if the sponsor was not available, it would still be Resources and Development Committee at its next meeting would not be the final authority. The final authority is Navajo Nation Council, and the Navajo Nation Council delegate has the authority to introduce legislation. The Speaker assigns it to the committees, and those committees that are not final authority may act upon it. And even if they chose to table it, it goes forward. And from that basic understanding of the authorities that are put into Title II 164 process, the chief legislative councils have used that reasoning with regard to even first and seconds. Mr. Chair. Thank you.
Thank you, Ms. Collin, for that. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, could you let me hand over the gavel to you so you could recognize me to speak, sir?
Oh, okay. Hakashi Nanda, Chair, for your leadership up to this point. Doshinkwe, Navido.
Okay, thank you. Sir. Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker, for taking over for me. And I would like to just make a statement on this request that has been brought forth on legislation 0246-22. Back in the early 2020, right before the pandemic, we had a meeting out at 20 Arrows with the President's Office and Hayos Cost Group. At that meeting, we had discussed creating an energy office for Ligego. Aro Yego Basa si Plido Ayo Basa Natle energy office at all no. But we never discussed a clean energy office. But we did mention and discuss renewable energy office. We don't need. I wrote that the question we were in the pandemic for quite some times, and we had discussed that we would also have an energy summit. Energy, we need to become very knowledgeable of energy issues, renewable energy. And then we even discussed having an energy expert, an advisor, a consultant to be hired at Speaker's office. Study no shimpen da wait. Aka dishji de hak ati kona nehtato sazaki. So they need any holidays. What shall we do with this legislation? Should we have a work session? Should we ask Honorable Vice Chair Walker to withdraw his legislation so we could go back to the table and sit down and identify all the renewable energies what is energy? E hanelt agola e olige go in on the hasalaki. Ed nabikiati do what we would discuss is to create an energy office, which was a discussion that we have had continually. The language within the legislation that is being requested to be removed or deferred or withdrawn. And then again, if it's clean energy, it pretty much eliminates Intech and Navajo Nation oil and gas. It bothers me. Intech gives into the Navajo Nation General Fund 30% of the general fund. Intech ye agent Navajo Nation. So if we just say clean energy, no, that eliminates them. That eliminates APS over here, as well as the coal mine that we still have left at Ninantizad. Even the gas, Navajo Nation oil and gas, oiled oak gas, you say, Navajo Nation, but general fund, basically, I believe that this legislation, since we're on record for RDC meeting, it really needs further discussion, a thorough discussion, even on the energy policy itself. Energy policy, it authorizes RDC to create an energy office. We recognize that we needed it. We even met with the Department of Energy, and they're willing to help to create some sort of summit to understand all the energies, including hydrogen and helium. And I think we need to go back to their drawing table and sit down and invite Intech, NOG, as well as NTUA, hear their input. It may have to go into the 25th Council, do that. And there, the 25th Councils, RDC and the full Council will most likely move forward on it after all the work sessions and discussions to create this office. At the 11th hour, and I the Neddy Nishigit at Eben now with Ahdes and Soya. Hans Sauce Ashmore, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Back to you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Thank you.
Thank you, Chairman, for your comments. You spoke to the need to probably not continue with the legislation. Question presiding chair. So back to you, sir.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Of course, withdraw unless none.
I emailed the Office of Legislative Counsel requesting that form that we use to withdraw legislations. With the shade or with the thing, then we can put that in writing.
Okay. Thank you.
So yes to your question.
Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Honorable members of RDC, any other comments or questions? None? Okay, we'll go ahead and do a roll call vote on the agenda. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote, sir? I vote green. Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Yeah, vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
I vote green, Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart? Honorable Stewart?
Green, Chairman.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. We have an approved agenda before us. Down to number 4. On the agenda, reviewing and approving journals from December 14, 2022. Let's establish a motion and a second. Motion.
Daniels.
Honorable Daniels, thank you. Second by
Stewart.
Honorable Stewart. Motion and a second for the journals. Any comments or questions? I hear none. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Yeah, vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. And we're down to reports. A report by Department of Justice. I did get a text message and I could no business stuff. What we can do is go ahead and do the report first, and after that suspend the floor rules to rearrange the agenda as far as legislations, because there's a legislation on here that needs to go first. So if you're good with that, I will go ahead and start receiving reports. Tahi, do we need to go into executive session for this?
The chair, members of RDC, on the receiving reports, item A, my discussion with Michelle Brown-Yazzie is executive session for this report is not needed. Back to you, Chairman.
Okay, thank you very much. So at this time, we're under receiving reports. A, update report by the Navajo Department of Justice Water Rights Unit on the consolidation of 2 Navajo Nation water rights cases, docket number 22-51 and docket number 21-1484 to be heard by the United States Supreme Court. Presenter will be Ms. Michelle Brown-Yazzie, the Assistant Attorney General for the Water Rights Unit of the Navajo Department of Justice. Ms. Yazzie, you have 20 minutes.
I still have Shanantai, Chair Nez, Otto, RDC members. Thank you for this opportunity to provide this report. As you're aware, in the past, I have reported on this matter. In 2003, the Navajo Nation did file an action in the U.S. District Court for the state of, the U.S. District Court of Arizona against the Department of Interior, asserting that the Secretary, in her role as water master in the lower basin of the Colorado River, had taken the actions relating to the management of the river in breach of the federal government's trust obligations to protect the water resources of the Navajo Nation and to secure and protect water supplies from the Colorado River necessary for the needs of the Navajo Nation in Arizona. After that action was filed, the U.S. District Court of Arizona did dismiss the lawsuit, stating that the United States had not waived its sovereign immunity. The nation did appeal that dismissal to the Ninth Circuit Court. In 2017, the Ninth Circuit held that the Administrative Procedures Act waives the sovereign immunity of the U.S. for all causes of action not seeking monetary damages. So the Ninth Circuit did reverse the district court and remanded the case to allow the nation's breach of trust claim to proceed. On remand, the District Court of Arizona once again dismissed the nation's case on the grounds that the nation had failed to identify an enforceable cause of action against the U.S. Again, the nation appealed the dismissal to the Ninth Circuit. In April of last year, 2021, the Ninth Circuit issued its opinion, and it reversed and remanded the case back to the district court with instructions to allow the Navajo Nation to amend its complaint. The parties, which is Department of Interior and the intervener states, did file petitions for rehearing en banc. And in February of this year, the Ninth Circuit denied those petitions. So following their denial, the interveners and Interior filed two separate petitions for certiorari to the U.S. Supreme Court. Just let's see, August, September, or in October, both of the petitions were granted. The questions presented before the court are whether the federal government owes a fiduciary duty to the Navajo Nation, and two, whether the court's retained jurisdiction from Arizona v. California is implicated in these cases. So the briefing schedule is basically on a fast track. On Monday, last Monday, December 19th, or actually, I'm sorry, this Monday, December 19th, the petitioning parties, which is Arizona and the U.S., they filed their opening briefs with the court. The amicus briefs in support of the petitioners are due on December 27th. The Navajo Nation's response brief is due on January 18th. And amicus briefs in support of the Navajo Nation's position are due on January 25th. The Navajo Nation has retained Stanton Arps. It's a law firm that has a specialty in Supreme Court cases, and they're located in Washington, D.C. We have been working with them, the litigation unit and the water rights unit. We've been working actively with our counsel, and we've also included Kate Hoover, who managed this case for water rights unit when she was here, and she also argued the case before the Ninth Circuit. And we also have the Walker and Myers firm also working with us. We have participated in discussions with the Tribal Supreme Court project headed by NARC and NCAI. And so they've been working with us with a group of Indian country lawyers and scholars from throughout the country that have interest in the case to support the nation's position. And so we do not expect any extensions in the matter. We think that that the court will follow the schedule. And however, last week, something interesting did occur. The Attorney General for the state of Arizona filed, or actually not filed, but sent a letter to the U.S. Supreme Court clerk stating that the Arizona Department of Water Resources, ADWR, does not have the authority to file cases on behalf of the state in federal court. And so the Attorney General requested that Arizona be dismissed from the case. And then a few days later, another letter was sent that we were CC'd on. And that letter was from ADWR to the Attorney General stating that the Attorney General was incorrect. And so we're not sure how that's going to play out, but one thing we do know is that it should not affect the case because there are other intervener parties besides Arizona. So whether Arizona stays on the case or not, it's still going to move forward with or without them. So, but it's possible that there could be requests for an extension from Arizona while they sort out their internal issues. So that is my report, Mr. Chair, members of the RDC. Thank you.
Ms. Michelle Brown-Yazzie, are you done with your report? Is that what you said?
Yes.
Okay. Thank you. Okay, thank you. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second. Motion.
Motion, Stewart, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. Second.
Yeah.
Honorable Begay. Honorable members of RDC, do you have any comments or questions on the report? Going twice. Going three times. We'll have a roll call vote at this time to accept the report from the Department of Justice Water Rights Unit, Ms. Brown-Yazzie. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Begay.
Yeah, with green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels. Honorable Freeland. Honorable Daniels.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland. Honorable Freeland. Honorable Stewart. Honorable Stewart.
Green, Chairman.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland. We have a vote of 4 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Thank you, Ms. Brown-Yazzie. Go ahead.
Thank you, Samantha. Aye.
Okay, thank you. Honorable members of RDC, there's none under old business on the agenda. We're down to new business. None, Thinigi. I do have a request for you, Shanant. We need to reshuffle the agenda here and place legislation 0259-22. It's the last legislation. We need to move that up to the first under A. Therefore, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair can take this over to Budget and Finance to have it approved there, and also have Honorable Stewart facilitate the meeting while he's there in Window Rock. That way he can sign the committee reports right there, and it can be forwarded to Budget and Finance. So, I don't know, Finicky, if we could have suspension, a motion to suspend the floor rules to amend the agenda.
Chairman, I'll make that motion to suspend the floor rules for legislation 259-22 to move up to A.
Okay. Is there a second?
Second, Daniel.
There's a second by Honorable Daniels. So the motion is, we're going to suspend the floor rules to amend the agenda and move legislation 0259-22 up. But before we do that, let me call on Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Are you on the call? Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair on the call with us?
Chairman, I do see Mr. Yellowhair on the call. I did ask him to unmute his line. I will send him a text message also.
Okay. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Chairman?
Yes.
Chairman, Budget and Finance Committee, along with Health, Education, Human Services Committee, are also meeting today at 10 o'clock. So Mr. Yellowhair is on Budget and Finance Committee. So I'm assuming he's currently dealing with issues with budget and finance at the exact same time, Chairman.
Okay. Honorable Stewart and Honorable Daniels, if you still wish to go ahead and hold this motion, or you can withdraw it until whenever Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair is available.
So now, Chairman, I'll go ahead and withdraw until Mr. Yellowhair gets online, Honorable Yellowhair gets online.
Okay. Honorable Daniels?
Mr. Chair, yes.
Okay, you concur. We'll go ahead and both the motion and the second to suspend floor rules and amend the agenda has been withdrawn. So we'll go back to new business A, legislation 0246-22. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, did you fill out the documents?
Chairman, committee members, I have not received the document that I requested at this time. DD item A handa banna dika. Original sos shayli wadoli koda. Doshi isla doli. In the meantime, the item B is the Johnson Johnson.
Okay, thank you. Ms. Khan, we're going to go ahead and move down to B and just your legal advisement. Honorable Vice Chair Walker is on the call while he's awaiting his documents to withdraw legislation 246-22.
Mr. Chair, members of the committee, I have been talking with the staff at Legislative Services, and they are aware of the request for the withdrawal documentation, and Jalissa Johnson has informed me that she is in the process of sending that to Delegate Walker. For purposes of this meeting, I think there is enough discussion, documentation through discussion on the record to show that Mr. Delegate Walker, your colleague, has chosen to withdraw the legislation. And for that I think is sufficient at this time to go forward with this meeting. As you know, when we are in a virtual meeting, it's hard to get what we need to particular delegates. If we were in a room, the document would have been walked over to Mr. Walker. He would have signed it and it would have been completed. We do have to make arrangements for this virtual meetings, Mr. Chair, but I think there is sufficient information on the record in which your colleague Delegate Walker has stated that he is withdrawing the legislation. Mr. Chair, thank you.
Thank you very much for your advisement, Ms. Khan. B, legislation 0247-22. Honorable Vice Chair Walker is on the call with us. Mr. Tai, could you read this into the record, please?
Chair, members of RDC, you have legislative summary sheet for tracking number 0247-22, date December 9th, 2022, title of the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution, an action relating to the Resource and Development Committee, and approving the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area, integrated resource management plan, approving of the balanced growth emphasis alternative, and recommending the BIA adopt the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area, integrated resource management plan. Purpose. The purpose of this legislation is to approve the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Navajo Regional Western Agency, and the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resources. The legislation will also approve and adopt the final former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan under the balanced growth emphasis alternative. The legislation also recommends the Bureau of Indian Affairs adopt the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan. Resource and Development Committee has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Thomas Walker Jr., co-sponsor Honorable Wilson C. Stewart. Legislation tracking number 0247-22. An action relating to the Resource and Development Committee, approving the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan, approval of the balanced growth emphasis alternative, and recommending that the BIA adopt the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan. Be enacted. Section 1, authorities. Pursuant to 2 NNC Section 500C1, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has oversight authority over land, environmental protection, cultural resources to establish Navajo Nation policy with respect to the optimum utilization of all Navajo Nation resources and to protect the rights, interests, sacred sites, and freedoms of the Navajo Nation and people to such resources now and for future generations. B, pursuant to 2 NNC Section 500C2, the Resource and Development Committee of the Navajo Nation Council has authority to oversee regulation of activities on Navajo Nation lands for the disposal or acquisition of resources, surface disturbances, and alterations of the natural state of the resources, including the enforcement administration of applicable Navajo Nation and federal laws, regulation, guidelines, and administrative procedures in the development and use of resources as a good steward. Section 2, finding the Resource and Development Committee through Resolution RDCO-35-20 approve the former Bennett Freeze area draft integrated resource management plan, Exhibit A of the RDCO-35-20. B, the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area integrated resource management plan prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Navajo Regional Western Agency, and the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resources attached as Exhibit 1. C, Exhibit 1, the Integrated Resource Management Plan, Section 1.1 at page 1 provides former Bennett Freeze area background. In 1966, the Commissioner of Indian Affairs, Robert Bennett, issued a series of administrative orders that restricted development on 1.6 million acres of tribal lands in northern eastern Arizona. This became known as the Bennett Freeze and was intended to be a temporary measure until the dispute over the lands between the Navajo Nation and Hopi tribe was settled. In 2006, Navajo and Hopi leaders signed an intergovernmental compact, which a federal court approved in 2007 and lifted the Bennett Freeze, clarifying the boundaries of the two reservations in Arizona and ensured access to religious sites of both tribes. 9 chapters of the Navajo Nation were impacted by the 40-year freeze, which all but stopped development areas and contribute to poor living conditions for many residents. D, the proposed federal action is an adoption of an Integrated Resources Management Plan, IRMB, of the former Bennett Freeze area, FBFA, as prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, BIA, Navajo Regional Office, RNO, and the Navajo Nation. The Integrated Resource Plan was prepared to update the 2008 Recovery Plan and was developed with assistance from the FBFA Interdisciplinary Task Force and core teams comprising representatives from BIA and the Navajo Nation. Exhibit 1, page 1. E, The BIA and the Navajo Nation agreed to finalize the Integrated Resource Management Plan in accordance with the American Indian Agriculture Resources Management Act, 25 United States Code Chapter 39, which states the Integrated Resource Management Plan is a plan developed pursuant to the process used by tribal government to assess valuable resources and to provide identified holistic management objectives that include quality of life product goals and landscape description of all designated resources that may include but not limited to water, fish, wildlife, forestry, agriculture, minerals, and recreation, as well as community municipal resources, and may include any previous adopted tribal codes and plans related to resources. 25 USC section 3703(11). This will properly management of Indian agricultural lands will produce increased economic returns, enhance Indian self-determination, promote economic development, and improve the social and economic well-being of Indian and surrounding communities. Exhibit 1, page 1. F, the former Bennett Freeze Integrated Resource Management Plan is the tribe's strategic plan for the management and development of its own resources. The Integrated Resource Management Plan would serve as a basis for future resources decision-making. The plan process is designed to incorporate all pertinent information into one document to guide the future management of areas or resources. The Integrated Resource Management Plan sets comprehensive goal for the former Bennett Freeze area, establishes desirable use levels, and identifies types of development and land uses. Exhibit 1, page 1. G. The Integrated Resource Management Plan also includes a problematic environmental assessment, which was prepared through a thorough exam the potential environmental impacts of the proposed action and alternative actions in order to support informed decision-making. Exhibit 1, page 1. H. The purpose of the Integrated Resource Management Plan is to meet the social, cultural, economic, and long-term sustainability needs for the resident of the former Bennett Freeze area. The Integrated Resource Management Plan is a strategic, vision-based, long-range management plan based on Navajo Nation members' interests, needs, and concerns of their lands and natural resources. Exhibit 1, page 2. I, the final problematic environmental assessment former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan table of contents includes 1, summary of the proposed action, 2, proposed action alternatives, 3, effective environmental consequences, 4, consultation and coordination, 5, a list of preparers, 6, references. Appendices include economic impact and social economic analysis of the former Bennett Freeze area, response to public comments, list of projects eligible for category exclusion, and land use development analysis process. Various tables, graphs, and maps are also included. J, the Navajo Nation will adopt the final Integrated Resource Management Plan under the Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative as stated at page 13 of Exhibit 1. K, the Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative supports environmental and culturally responsible growth and economic development. The Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative considers current Navajo Nation protection zones and restrictions on development and requires the more robust integrated management techniques identified in the IRMB. Development of the FBFA land would conform to the goals and objectives of the IRMP. This alternative focus on the balanced growth and economic development with minimal impact on the environmental and cultural resources. The balanced growth emphasis alternative was developed to incorporate community goals and objectives of the affected communities while considering natural and cultural resources and existing infrastructure in the former Bennett Freeze area. Exhibit 1, page 13. Section 3, approval. The approval of the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan. Approval of the former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan under the Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative and recommending that the BIA adopt the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan. A, the Navajo Nation hereby approves the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs Navajo Regional Western Agency and the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resources as set forth in Exhibit 1. B, the Navajo Nation hereby approves and adopts the final former Bennett Freeze area Integrated Resource Management Plan under the Balanced Growth Emphasis Alternative as described in Exhibit 1, page 13. C, the Navajo Nation hereby recommends Bureau of Indian Affairs adopt the final problematic environmental assessment of former Bennett Freeze Area Integrated Resources Management Plan, Exhibit 1. Attaches Exhibit 1, which is the final problematic environmental assessment, former Bennett Freeze Area Integrated Resources Management prepared by the Bureau of Indian Affairs, Navajo Regional Western Navajo Agency, and the Navajo Nation Division of Natural Resources, date September 2021. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0247-22, sponsors Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. This legislation was posted on December 12th, 2022 at 9:43 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 17th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, no comments and recommendation on this legislation. Chair members of RDC, that is legislation number 0247-22 read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Motion, Daniel.
Honorable Daniels, thank you. Second.
Second, Stewart.
Honorable Stewart, thank you. Honorable members of RDC, this legislation here, RDC has final authority over this, so are there any comments or questions? On twice? On 3 times. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Kia votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland? Honorable Stewart?
I vote green, Chairman. Sorry.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Honorable Freeland votes green. Honorable Stewart?
Green, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Go ahead, Honorable Vice Chair Walker.
Thank you, and committee members, Chair. Yeah.
Thank you. D, legislation 0249-22. Honorable Jimmy O'Hare, are you on the call? On twice. On 3 times. Going down to D, legislation 0250-22. I am the sponsor of this legislation. And at this time, Honorable Stewart, since you're nearby there, could you facilitate this legislation so you can sign the committee reports?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay. You have the virtual gavel at this time, sir.
It's still coming over Fuzzy Mountain, sir. I'll be you guys not out. Mr. Tahi, your assistance, please, to read the legislation 250-22.
Pro Tem Chair, members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet for tracking number 0250-22, date December 15th, 2022. Title of the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution, an action relating to Resource Development Committee, approving amendments to the plan of operation for the Navajo Forestry Department. Purpose. The purpose of this legislation is to approve the amended plan of operation for the Navajo Forestry Department. Resource and Development has final authority over this legislation, which we read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Ricky Nez. For tracking number 0250-22, an action relating to the Resource and Development Committee, approving amendments to the plan of operation of the Navajo Forestry Department. Be enacted. Section 1, authority. The Resource and Development Committee has the power to grant final approval for the Division of Natural Resources Department's plan of operations. 2, NNC section 501B2G. Sections 2, findings. A, the Division of Natural Resources Navajo Forestry Department has requested amendments to its plan of operation attached as Exhibit A. The Navajo Forestry Department's latest plan of operation was approved by Resolution RDCO-79-16, Exhibit E. Resolution RDCO-79-16 with its Exhibit E are attached as Exhibit B. B, the Navajo Forestry Department requests an amendment of its plan of operation to increase its authorities, duties, and responsibilities to include the ability to administer the carbon offset revenue under the Forest Carbon Fund Management Plan. These new duties arise out of the Navajo Nation Council's Resolution CAP-17-22, which approved the carbon development and marketing agreement between the Navajo Nation and Blue Source, LLC. Resolution CAP-17-22 is attached as Exhibit C. C, the executive official review form of the amendments to the Navajo Forest Department Plan of Operation is attached as Exhibit D. And Section 3, amending the operation for the Navajo Forestry Department. The Navajo Nation hereby amends the plan of operation for the Navajo Forestry Department within the Division of Natural Resources as provided in Exhibit A. Attaches Exhibit A, which is the Navajo Nation Forestry Department revised plan of operations. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the resolution of the Resource and Development Committee of the 23rd Navajo Nation Council, second year, 2016, resolution RDCO-79-16. Attaches Exhibit C, which is resolution of the Navajo Nation Council, 24th Navajo Nation Council, fourth year, 2022, resolution number CAP-17-22. Attaches Exhibit D, the executive official review document number 018897, date issue 0628 of 2022. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0250-22, sponsors Honorable Ricky Nez. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:08 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation. There was no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Pro Tem Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0250-22 read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Colleagues of the Resource Development Committee, can we get a motion and a second?
Motion, Daniel.
Thank you, Shania. Second?
I'll second that.
Second motion, Freeland.
Second by Shaja, Mr. Walker. Any comments or questions, colleagues?
Mr. Chair, this is Mariana Khan. Presiding Chair, this is Mariana Khan.
Ms. Khan? Shama?
I have noticed a typo that I would like to bring to the committee's attention. Page 2, line 6. I need to insert the words plan of before the word operation. And I'm sending that right now. Mr. Presiding Chair. It's simply just a typographical error, but I just wanted to make sure that the staff has this before them when they engross the legislation. We have many legislation on our agenda today, and something like this might get overlooked. And I'm just doing this just to be extra cautious, Mr. Presiding Chair. It could be an amendment. I have supplied it as an amendment, or you may just instruct the staff to insert the words plan of. Thank you, Mr. Presiding Chair.
No question, Shama, thank you. So committee members, we do have a typographical error amendment which was sent to us just now by email regarding the legislation 250-22. Can we get a motion and a second to add that amendment in, please?
Chairman, Protect Chair Kodo, the recommended modification, Gishin Kodo, be motion schlichterlich. Kialan.
Question Shana, Kalen, thank you. Second.
Second. Motion Freeland.
Okay, Shana, Freeland. Okay, we do have the amendment. Mr. Tahi, can you read our amendment into the legislation, please?
Pro Tem Chair Member of RDC, this is amendment number 1 to legislation number 0250-22. 1, page 2, line 6, insert the words, quote, plan of, unquote, before the word operation. Chair members of RDC, that is amendment number 1 read into the record.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. So that is the amendment. We do have a motion, a second. Go to roll call vote. Shanad, Chairman Ricknez, how do you vote?
Delegate Ricknez votes green.
Yeah, Shanad. Shajai Yaja, Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chair Pro Tem, I vote green. Thank you.
Shanad, Herman Daniels.
Green.
Shanad Key Allen, Bigay.
Chairman Kiel votes green. Thank you.
Shanad Mark Freeland.
I vote green.
Thank you, Shanad. Wishing with a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, and 1 abstain. Our amendment does pass for this legislation. Back to the main motion on legislation. For 250-22. Any other questions or comments? Going once, going twice, 3 times. Okay, roll call vote on our legislation, 250-22. Shanad, Chairman, how do you vote?
Delegate Ricknez votes green.
Yes, Thomas Walker votes green. Thank you.
Shanad Herman Daniels, how do you vote? Shanad Daniels.
This is Daniel. I vote green.
Wishing. Shanad Key Allen.
Kiel votes green. Thank you.
Shanad Mark Freeland.
Freeland votes green.
Thank you, Shanad Kedlo Shajai Eja. The vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstain. The legislation does pass. Okay, Shanad, Chairman. It's flying back over Fuzzy Mountain.
Honorable Stewart, I'm going to have to toss it back over the mountain to you for the next legislation.
Question sent back this way. Mr. Tahi Shikanandye, the score for 252 for this legislation, read his record.
Pro Tem Chair members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet for tracking number 0252-22, date December 15th, 2022. Title of the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution, and action relating to resource and development and budget and finance committee, establishing the Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund and approving the Navajo Forest Department Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund Management Plan. Purpose. The purpose of this legislation is to approve the establishment of the Navajo Forest Department Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund and approve the Navajo Forestry Department's Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund Management Plan. Budget and Finance Committee has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Ricky Nez. Co-sponsors Honorable Wilson C. Stewart. This is for tracking number 0252-22, an action relating to the Resource and Development Committee and the Budget and Finance Committees, establishing the Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund and approving the Navajo Forestry Department's Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund Management Plan. In Section 1 outlines the authority, in Section 2 the finding, which references Exhibit A and Exhibit B and Exhibit C. In Sections 3 is the approval, which references Exhibit A, attaches Exhibit A, which is the Navajo Forestry Department's Fund Management Plan Forest Carbon Enterprise Fund, attaches Exhibit B, which is the resolution of the Navajo Nation Council, 24th Navajo Nation Council, 4th year, 2022, resolution number CAP-17-22. Attaches Exhibit C, which is the Executive Official Review, document number 018898. Date issue 06/28/2022. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0252-22, sponsors Honorable Ricky Nez. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:18 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, there's no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Pro Tem Chair members of RDC, that is legislation number 02522 read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. Colleagues of the 24th Navajo Nation Council and RDC, can we get a motion in a second, please?
Freeland.
Thank you, Shania Freeland, for the motion. Second.
I'll second that.
Thank you, Shania. Vice Chair Walker for the motion and second. Colleagues, do we have any questions or comments on this? This legislation does go to Budget and Finance as well. Colleagues. Going once, twice, 3 times. Vote on the roll call vote for this legislation. Shania, Chairman. Rick Nez, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Shazayaja, Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chair Pro Tem, I vote green. Thank you.
Shania Herman Daniels.
I vote green.
Shania Key Allen.
Yeah, votes green. Thank you.
Shania Mark Freeland.
I vote green.
Thank you, colleagues. The vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstain. Our legislation does move on to Budget and Finance. Shania, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Honorable Stewart, for facilitating this part of the meeting here. We're down to F, legislation 0256-22, sponsor Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Mr. Ty, could you read this into the record, sir? Mr. Tahi?
Chair members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet for tracking number 0256-22, date December 14th, 2022, titled the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution, an action relating to resource and development, confirming the reappointment of Sidney Bob Dietz II to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Purpose: this legislation, if passed, will confirm the reappointment of Mr. Sidney Bob Dietz II. as a director for the Navajo NTUA Management Board as set forth in 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2, and thereby reappoint Mr. Sidney Bob Dietz II for a term of 3 years, with the term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Resource and Development Committee has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. for tracking number 0256-22, an action relating to resource and development, confirming the reappointment of Sidney Bob Dietz II to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Section 1, authority. A, the Resource and Development Committee was established as a standing committee of the Navajo Nation Council, 2 NNC Sections 500A. B, pursuant to 2 NNC Section 500C, the Resource and Development Committee shall exercise oversight authority over public utilities. C, pursuant to 2 NNC Section 501B9, Resource and Development Committee has the authority to grant final confirmation of appointments to enterprise boards. Sections 2, finding. A, pursuant to 21 NNC Section 2, the Navajo Nation established the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, NTUA, as an enterprise. B, the NTUA is authorized to acquire, construct, operate, and maintain utility systems throughout the Navajo Nation. C, 21 NNC Section 1B. C, the general purpose of NTUA is to operate, maintain, promote existing utility systems, furnish electric, gas, water, sewers utility services, generation, and telecommunications and information services for the benefit of residents of the Navajo Nation, including the establishment, ownership, operation, and maintenance of electric generating, communication, and information services on or off the Navajo reservation, and to provide utility generation, telecommunication, and information services on a non-profit base and at a reasonable cost to residents of the Navajo Nation, consistent with the economic operation of the enterprise. C, 21 NNC Section 5A 1 through 6. D, NTUA Management Board shall have the delegated authority and responsibility for the management and operation of the enterprise. C, 21 NNC Section 7(1)(e). The Management Board consists of 7 persons, of all whom shall be appointed by the Government Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council, whose authority to confirm appointment to Enterprise Board has been delegated to the Resource and Development Committee. C, 21 NNC Section 9A, also C, 2 NNC Section 501B9. F, members of the board shall be called directors and shall have the following qualifications. 1, 4 of the directors that shall be members of the Navajo Nation who speaks English with fluency and who have significant education and experience to qualify them for learning utility business practices and procedures and making sound judgments. 2, 4 directors that shall be persons having not less than 10 years experience in business management or sustainable character, and at least 2 of which persons shall have such experience in management and operation of utility business. C, 21 NNC Sections 9B 1 through 2. G, vacancies in the management board may be filled for an unexpired term of a vacant office. C, 21 NNC Section 9C2. H, directors shall be eligible for reappointment. C, 21 NNC Section 9C1. I, RDCS-26-21 confirm the reappointment of Sidney Bob Dietz II to the NTUA Management Board for terms of 3 years that expire at the annual board meeting in October 2022. The reappointment resolution RDCS-26-21 without exhibits is attached as Exhibit A. J, on July 22nd, 2022, Sidney Bob Dietz was recommended to be reappointed by the NTUA Management Board Resolution NTUA-26-22, which is attached as Exhibit B. K, Sidney Bob Dietz II meets the qualification listed under 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2. Sidney Bob Dietz II's resume and letter of interest are attached as Exhibit C. L, the reappointment of Sidney Bob Dees II will be for a period of 3 years starting from January 2022 and will expire at the annual board meeting in October 2025. See 21 NNC Section 9C2. Section 3, confirming appointment. The Resource and Development Committee finds that Sidney Bob Dees II meets the required qualifications to be reappointed as the director of the N2A Management Board as set forth in 21 NNC Section 9B1 through 2, and hereby confirms the reappointment of Sidney Bob Dees II for a term of 3 years, with the term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Attaches Exhibit A, which is the resolution of the Navajo Nation. Resolution of the Resource and Development Committee of the 24th Navajo Nation Council, 3rd year, 2021, resolution number RDCS-26-22. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the resolution of the Management Board of the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, resolution number NTUA-26-22. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the resume and letter of interest of Sidney Bob Dees II. Attached is the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0256-22, sponsors Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:36 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation. There was no comments opposing this legislation. There was no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Chair members of RDC, that is legislation number 0256-22. Run into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you very much, Mr. Tahi. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Motion, Chairman.
Is that Honorable Stewart?
Yes, Chairman.
Okay, thank you. Honorable Stewart motions. Is there a second?
Yeah, on second.
Honorable Begay, thank you. Honorable members of RDC, have any comments or questions? Going twice. Going 3 times. We'll put it to a roll call vote. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay.
Cal, it's green. Thank you.
Yeah. Honorable Daniels.
Green.
Yeah. Honorable Freeland.
Green.
Yeah. Honorable Stewart.
Green.
Yeah. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed. Not voting. Motion carries on legislation 056-22. Thank you, Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Next legislation G0257-22, also sponsored by Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Mr. Tahi, could you read this legislation into the record?
Chair members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet for tracking number 0257-22, date December 14th, 2022. Title of the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution. An action relating to resource and development, confirming the reappointment of Wynette Arvizo to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Purpose: this legislation will approve the reappointment of Ms. Wynette Arvizo as a director of the N2A Management Board as set forth in 21 NNC Section 9B1 through 2, and thereby reappoint Ms. Arvizo for a term of 3 years, with the term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Resource and Development Committee has final authority over this legislation, which we read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Thomas Walker Jr. for tracking number 0257-22. An action relating to resource and development, confirming the reappointment of Wynette Arvizo to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Section 1 Authority. A. The Resource and Development Committee was established as a standing committee of the Navajo Nation Council 2 NNC Section 500A. B. Pursuant to 2 NNC Section 500C, the Resource and Development Committee shall exercise oversight authority on public utilities. C. Pursuant to 2 NNC Section 501B9, the Resource and Development Committee has authority to grant final confirmation of appointment to enterprise boards. Section 2 findings. A. Pursuant to 21 NNC Section 2, the Navajo Nation established the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, NTUA, as an enterprise. B. The NTUA is authorized to acquire, construct, operate, and maintain utility systems throughout the Navajo Nation. C. 21 NNC Section 1B. C. The general purpose of NTUA is to operate, maintain, and promote existing utility systems, furnish electric, gas, water, sewer utility services, generation, and telecommunication and information services for the benefit of residents of the Navajo Nation, including the establishment, ownership, operation, maintenance of electric generating, telecommunication, and information services on and off the Navajo reservation, and to provide utility generation, telecommunication, and information services on a nonprofit base at a reasonable cost to residents of the Navajo Nation, consistent with the economic operation of the enterprise. C. 21 NNC Section 5A 1 through 6. D. The NTUA Management Board shall have the delegated authority and responsibility for the management operation of the enterprise. C. 21 NNC Section 7.1. E. The Management Board shall consist of 7 persons, of all whom shall be appointed by the Government Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council, whose authority to confirm reappointment to Enterprise Board shall be delegated to the Resource and Development Committee. See 21 NNC Section 9A. See also 2 NNC Section 501B9F. Members of the board shall be called directors and shall have the following qualification. 1. 4 of the boards shall be members of the Navajo Nation who speak English with fluency and who have significant education experience to qualify them for learning utility business practice and procedures and making sound judgment. 2. 4 of the directors shall be persons having no less than 10 years experience in business management of substantial character, and at least 2 of which such persons shall have had such experience in the management and operation of a utility business. See 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2. G. Vacancies in the management board may be filled for an unexpired term of the vacant office. See 21 NNC Section 9C2. H. Directors shall be eligible for reappointment. See 21 NNC Section 9C1. I. RDCS-24-21 appointed Wynette Arvizo to the NTA Management Board for terms of 3 years that expire at the annual board meeting in October 2022. The reappointment resolution RDCS-24-21 without exhibit is attached as Exhibit A. J. On July 22, 2022, Wynette Arvizo was recommended to be reappointed by the NTA Management Board Resolution NTA 27-22, which is attached as Exhibit B. K. Wynette Arvizo meets the qualification list under 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2. Wynette Arvizo's resumes and letters of interest are attached as Exhibit C. L. The reappointment of Wynette Arvizo will be for a period of 3 years starting from October 2022 and will expire with the annual board meeting in October 2025. C 21 NNC Section 9C2. Section 3. Confirming appointment. The Resource and Development Committee finds that Wynette Arvizo meets the required qualification to be reappointed as the director for the NTA Management Board as set forth in 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2, and thereby confirms the reappointment of Wynette Arvizo for a term of 3 years, with the term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Attaches Exhibit A, which is the resolution of the Resource and Development Committee, the 24th Navajo Nation Council, 3rd year 2021, our resolution number RDCS-24-21. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the resolution of the Management Board of the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, NTA-27-22. Attaches Exhibit C, which is the resume letter of interest of a Wynette R. Oviso. And you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch and a Public Review Summary for legislation number 0257-22, sponsors Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:39 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Chair members of RDC, that is legislation number 0257-22 read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tai, for reading the legislation into the record. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Freeland.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Second.
Yellen.
Honorable Begay, thank you. Any comments or questions? Going twice. Going three times. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay.
Kale votes green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart.
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Yeah, next legislation, Shanantai. Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair legislation really needs to get it approved. He's texting me, and I don't know if we can just go ahead and hurry and do H and then get to his legislation, or go to I first. Honorable Vice Chair Walker is also the sponsor of that. I didn't see that this morning when we were trying to amend the agenda.
Chairman.
Yes.
Can we go ahead and proceed on with Honorable Walker's legislation and come back to Shana, Honorable Yellowhair's 2 legislation and get those 2 simultaneously?
Go ahead and just finish this one.
Yeah, finish Honorable Walker's and then go back to Honorable Yellowhair and do his 2 simultaneously.
Okay. We'll just go back to this legislation 0258-22. Mr. Tai, could you read this into the record, sir?
Chair members of RDC, you have legislation summary sheet for tracking number 0258-22, date September 14th, 2022. Title of the resolution, proposed standing committee resolution, and action relating to resource and development, confirming the appointment of Kathy Newby to serve as on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Purpose: this legislation will approve the reappointment of Kathy Newby as a director of the NTUA Management Board as set forth in 21 NC Section 9B 1 through 2, and thereby appoint Ms. Newby for a term of 3 years, with a term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Resource and Development Committee has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor for this legislation is Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. for tracking number 0258-22, an action relating to resource and development, confirming the appointment of Kathy Newby to serve on the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority Management Board of Directors for a term of 3 years. Section 1, Authority. A. The Resource and Development Committee was established as a standing committee of the Navajo Nation Council, 2 NC Section 500A. B, pursuant to 2 NC Section 500C, the Resource and Development Committee shall exercise over public utilities. C, pursuant to 2 NC Sections 501B9, Resource and Development Committee has the authority to grant final confirmation of appointment to enterprise boards. Section 2, findings. Pursuant to 21 NC Section 2, the Navajo Nation established the Navajo Tribal Utility Authority, NTUA, as an enterprise. B, The NTUA is authorized to acquire, construct, operate, and maintain utility systems throughout the Navajo Nation. See 21 NNC Section 1B. C. The general purpose of NTUA is to operate, maintain, and promote existing utility system, furnish electric, gas, water, sewer utility services, generation, and telecommunication information services for the benefit of residents of the Navajo Nation, including the establishment, ownership, operation, and maintenance of electric generating, telecommunication information services on or off the Navajo Reservation, and to provide utility generation, telecommunication information services on a nonprofit base and at a reasonable cost to residents of the Navajo Nation, consistent with the economic operation of the enterprise. C 221 NNC Section 5A 1 through 6. D. The NTUA Management Board shall have the delegated authority and responsibility for the management operation of the enterprise. C 21 NNC Section 7(1). E. The Management Board consisting of 7 persons, of all whom shall be appointed by the Government Services Committee of the Navajo Nation Council, whose authority to confirm appointment to enterprise boards has been delegated to the Resource Development Committee. C 21 NNC Section 9A. See also 2 NNC Section 501B9. F. Members of the board shall be called directors and shall have the following qualifications. 1. 4 of directors shall be members of the Navajo Nation who speaks English with fluency and who have significant education experience to qualify them for learning utility business practices and procedures and make sound judgment. 2. 4 of the directors shall be persons having not less than 10 years experience in the business management of substantial character, and at least 2 of which persons shall have such experience in the management and operation of the utility business. C 21 NNC Sections 9B 1 through 2G. Vacancies in the Management Board may be filled for an unexpired term of the vacant office. C 21 NNC Section 9C2. H. Directors that shall be eligible for reappointment. C 21 NNC Section 9C1. I. Kathy Newby meets the qualified list under 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2. Kathy Newby's resume and letter of interest are attached as Exhibit A. J. The appointment of Kathy Newby will be for a period of 3 years, expiring with the annual board meeting in October 2025. C 21 NNC Section 9C2. Section 3. Confirming appointment. The Resource and Development Committee finds that Kathy Newby meets the required qualification to be appointed as the director for the NTUA Management Board as set forth in 21 NNC Section 9B 1 through 2, and hereby confirms the appointment of Kathy Newby for terms of 3 years, with the term expiring at the annual board meeting in October 2025. Attached is Exhibit A, which is the resume and letter of interest of Kathy Newby. Attached is also the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch Internet Public Review Summary for legislation number 0258-22, sponsors Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:42 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, no comments and recommendation on this legislation. Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0258-22 read into the record. Back to you, Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Tahe. Honorable members of RDC, let's have a motion and a second.
Freeland.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Second.
Stewart.
Honorable Stewart. Thank you. Any comments or questions? On twice. Going 3 times. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green, Chairman. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Gay.
Keelan with green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Daniels.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland.
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart.
Green, Chairman.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. Honorable Vice Chair Walker. All 3 of these board membership have been interviewed and went through the process, so now it's all approved. Honorable Vice Chair Walker. Next, legislation 0259-22, sponsor Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Are you on the call? Unmute your phone, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair.
Oh, yeah, this is Chairman
Okay,
Rick Naz. This is Doug Gayo here. Pardon
thank you.
one second. I don't want to drive off. I lost some signal this morning. Yeah, I'd like to, any question related to this CDFI legislation?
Okay,
259
we'll go ahead
22?
and read it into the record first, Honorable Yellowhair. Mr. Hyde, could you read this legislation to the record?
Chairman, just a quick question. I know you asked Delegate Stewart to preside over this so we can get the committee report and vote tally signed. Are you wanting him to chair this part of this legislation so that we can get the committee report and vote tally signed and send over to Budget and Finance Committee before I start reading it into the record? Back to you, Chairman.
Yes, that would be very helpful for Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair to put on Budget and Finance since he's there in the Window Rock area. I'll swing this virtual gavel over the mountain to Honorable Wilson Stewart Jr. to pro tem chair this meeting.
Chairman. So with that, Mr. Tahi, but the legislation reading into the record.
Pro Tem Chair, members of RDC, you have summary sheet for tracking number 0259-22, date September 14th of 2022, an action relating to the Resource and Development, Budget and Finance, and Navigate Committees, and the Navajo Nation Council approving $8 million from the Sisasan Fund for the Navajo Community Development Financial Institution to provide loans and support for small business across the Navajo Nation, approving the related expenditure plan. Pursuant to purpose of this legislation is to approve $8 million in Sisasan Fund to NCDFI for it to provide loans and other support for small business, approving the related expenditure plan. Navajo Nation Council has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair, co-sponsored by Honorable Thomas Walker Jr. For tracking number 0259-22, an action relating to the Resource and Development, Budget and Finance, and Navigate Committees and the Navajo Nation Council, approving $8 million from the Sisasan Fund for the Navajo Community Development Financial Institution to provide loans and support for small businesses across the Navajo Nation, approving the related expenditure plan. In Section 1, the authority. In Section 2, the finding, which references Exhibit A, Exhibit B, Exhibit C, Exhibit D, Exhibit E, Exhibit F, and Exhibit G. In Section 3, the approval of $8 million from the Sisasan Fund for the Navajo Community Development Financial Institution to provide loans and support for small businesses across the Navajo Nation, approving the related expenditure plan, which references Exhibit D through G. Then you have the Section 4 effective date and Section 5 the savings clause. Attaches Exhibit A, which is the Navajo Nation Corporation Code Certification of Amendment for the Navajo Community Development Financial Institution, Inc., file number 101005. Attaches Exhibit B, which is the Department of Treasury Community Development Financial Institution Funds. Attaches Exhibit C, which is the Navajo Community Development Financial Institute loan policy approved on August 25th, 2014. Attaches Exhibit D, which is the Navajo Community Development Financial Institute 5-year strategic plan from 2022 to 2026, approved December of 2021. Attaches Exhibit E, which is a report prepared by the Navajo Nation Tribal Council Sis-Hassan Committee. The report prepared by Navajo Community Development Financial Institute, date of 1201-22. Attaches Exhibit F, which is the executive summary. Attaches Exhibit G, which is the Navajo FI 5-year project expenditure plan. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch and a Public Review Summary for legislation number 0259-22, sponsors Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. This legislation was posted on December 15th, 2022 at 9:46 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 20th of 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, no comments and recommendation on this legislation. Pro Tem Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0259-22 read into the record. Back to you, Pro Tem Chair.
Thank you, Ms. Tahi. With that, committee members, again, this legislation does go before Budget and Finance, and Navajo Nation Council is final authority on this legislation for 0259-22. Can I get a motion?
Delegate Rick Nez.
Thank you, Chairman. Can I get a second?
I'll second that.
Yeah, your Vice Chair. So the motion and second, you have any comments or questions regarding this legislation, RDC members? Once, twice, gone. Okay, with that, we'll take a vote on the legislation. Shana, Chairman, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chair Pro Tem, I vote green. Thank you.
Shana, Herman Daniels, how do you vote?
So it's green.
Shana, Key Allen, how do you vote?
Yeah, votes green. Thank you.
Shana, Mark Freeland, how do you vote?
Green.
Thank you, Shana. Okay, with a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstain, the legislation does move on to Budget and Finance. Thank you, RDC members. Shana, giving you back the gavel.
Honorable Stewart, yellow hair still has 0249-22 under C.
Okay, go back to Mr. Tahi. Can you help me with reading that into the legislation, please? 0249.
Pro Tem Chair, you have a summary sheet for tracking number 0249-22, date December 13th, 2022, and action relating to the Resource and Development and Budget and Finance Committee, amending CAP-35-18 by reallocating funds from the Pinyon Chapter Project numbers D161, D162, and D163 from funding year 1 to funding year 3, and changing project number D162 from parameter fencing construction to design, equip, and construct. Purpose of this legislation is to approve an amendment to CAP-35-18 Exhibit D to move approve funding for Pinyon Chapter projects D161, D162, D163 from funding year 1 to funding year 3, and to change project number D162 from parameter fencing construction to design, equip, and construct. Budget and Finance Committee has final authority over this legislation, which will be read into the record in its entirety. The primary sponsor of this legislation is Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair for tracking number 0249-22, an action relating to the Resource and Development and Budget and Finance Committees, amending CAP-35-18 by relocating funds from the Pinyon Chapter Project numbers D161, D162, and D163 from funding year 1 to funding year 3, and changing project number D162 from parameter fencing construction to design, equip, and construct. In section 1 outlines the authority. In section 2, the finding, which references exhibit 1 and exhibit 2 and exhibit 3. In section 3 is the approval for amendments to CAP-35-18 exhibit D, which references exhibit 2. In section 4 is the effective date. In sections 5 is the savings clause. It attaches exhibit 1, which is the Citizens Fund Power Line and Construction Capital Projects Expenditure Plan. Attaches exhibit 2, which is the Capital Project Management Department Citizens Fund Project Amendment Certification for CAP-35-18. Attaches exhibit 3, which is a resolution of Pinyon Chapter Resolution number PIN-22-43. Then you have the first report, the Navajo Nation Legislative Branch and Public Review Summary for legislation number 0249-22, sponsors Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. This legislation was posted on December 14th, 2022 at 5:56 p.m. The 5-day comment period ended December 19th, 2022. There was no comment supporting this legislation, no comments opposing this legislation, no comments or recommendation on this legislation. Pro Tem Chair, members of RDC, that is legislation number 0249-22 read into the record. Back to you, Pro Tem Chair.
Thank you, Mr. Tahi. With that, committee members, can I get a motion? This does go towards budget and finance
Freeland.
as well. Motion by Shania Freeland, second.
Delegate Rick Nez.
Shania Chairman, seconds. Any comments or questions regarding 0249-22? Committee members. Going once. Going twice. 3 times. Take a vote on the legislation. Shania Chairman, how do you vote?
Delegate Rick Nez votes green.
Gushing. Shajaya Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
I vote green. Thank you.
Gushing. Yeah. Shana Herman Daniels.
Green.
Gushing. Shanaki Allen.
Cal votes green. Thank you.
Gushing. Shana Mark.
Freeland votes green.
Gushing. Thank you. Colleagues, with a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, 1 abstain, legislation does move on to budget and finance. Thank you. Shana.
Thank you, Honorable Stewart, for facilitating this part of the 2 legislations for Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. Now he can put it on Budget and Finance Committee agenda. We're down to the close of meeting. Any announcements, Shananda? Legislative branches having
Delegate Yellowhair.
Okay, Honorable Yellowhair.
I want to say thank you. This is a great, wonderful day for us, RDC. You're a great leader. I really appreciate for this move. Approve a 2 legislation for the Navajo Nation. It's RDC committee under Rick Nash, chairperson, and also vice chairman, Thomas Walker. So, Merry Christmas and happy holiday and good luck to a new year 2023. God bless.
Yeah, Honorable Jimmy Yellowhair. And so again, Honorable members of RDC. Oh, honorable members of RDC. Any other announcements?
So, I want to say thank you, Rodney, Ty, and also Laura Lane, legal counsel. Thank you.
Okay. Mariana Khan is our legal counsel for RDC, and just for your information. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you. I won't forget about her too. Yeah.
Okay. Honorable members of RDC, any announcements? I believe Honorable Freeland said he'll sing us a Christmas song, so you have the floor, Honorable Freeland.
Oh, Chairman, I know. Thank you, though. It was great thought, but my voice is not very good right now.
Okay. Thank you for your prayers. I believe there's no other announcements. It is we're at the end of our meeting. Let's have a motion and a second for adjournment.
I'll motion, Chairman.
Thank you, Honorable Freeland. Second. Yeah, second. Honorable Begay. Thank you. Adoshan Ados staff. Anaf Swatniyat Eho Keshmistat or Sis. So, Jo, Atada Hasian Hista Acheko. Ado, I'll text you my address so you can send me my gift. Okay? Have a good day. Honorable Vice Chair Walker, how do you vote?
Chairman, I vote green. Thank you.
Thank you. Honorable Begay?
Cal votes green. Thank you.
Honorable Daniels?
Green.
Thank you. Honorable Freeland?
I vote green.
Thank you. Honorable Stewart?
Green.
Thank you. We have a vote of 5 in favor, 0 opposed, chair not voting, motion carries. We are officially adjourned at 11:51 a.m. God bless each and every one of you. Hakona. Merry Christmas.
Thank you, Chairman, all staff, all committee members. Ciao.
Oh, yeah, Vice Chair Walker.